Okay, so I let them out so they could go out and bark at the fence. Um, but one thing is good with Stella is that I think she's really getting to understand like that her running the fence is really hurting her hips. Kind of like when they do it, it kind of reminds me of like an aggressive snow skier or something because they do this twist going back and forth with their bodies to do they get this little place and then go back and forth, barking at each other like real low down. They get so caught up in it. It's just so trippy because I just, the like, what does that all mean to them? Like, they're all wagging their tails, they're all excited, but they get down there and just, rah, 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 rah. And, and I've been noticing so much, I always talk about the dogs and the communication because I listen to them and they talk. It's kind of like Morse code or something, but who knows what each thing means. But, Trixie's so vocal. And Stella has moved into this now, like when the barking starts, she'll just go into this deep, like, howling. Like, it reminds me of some blues singer or something, where she's just like, oh, she just feels it, and she just goes into these howlings. So cute. Oh my God, I love that. You just feel their emotion when they do that. But anyways, she will, like, I'll listen to them and they'll be like, one will bark and then they'll bark. So it'll be like bark, and then this one will be bark, bark, and then this one will go bark, 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 bark. Like they do, like if you start paying attention, like there's actual communication going on. And I really wonder, like what it all means to them, like how they see the world. It's just, it's so crazy because they're very, they don't have conscious awareness like us, but they are, a developed species that, has communication. It's figured out how to survive. Being domesticated, being able to be okay and come into people's homes and to have them feed you and stuff, that's intelligence, if you ask me. How many of us have figured that out? We're all just out here trying to struggle and survive. But they're also held as slaves. Their life is up to us, and they don't have control over certain aspects. So a lot of them can't even go outside. They're trapped in a house all day, every day. Can you imagine? Oh man, the life of some beings. But there's all sorts of different beings here. There's all sorts of different life happening. And it's so weird how there's just so many people that are just so caught up in this, like, this is all there is. You come here, you live, you spend your life suffering, trying to survive. You have to deal with loss. You're under, it feels like you're being tested constantly. And this book to guide us, it just is, I don't know. When you see it from my perspective, it's so ridiculous. Like, this would be a hard movie to not. And it's funny too, because I was talking to somebody else and I was like, well, nothing makes sense until it happens. Like, none of us, in 2018, if anybody would have said, hey, yeah, we're all going to spend a year and a half in our homes and, be forced to cover your face and all this stuff, nobody would have believed that. Nobody. But then once it happens, then, so, we're about to have some more things like that, like things that people don't understand, people are not expecting at all. And, like secure team. Yeah, I'm sure that's what it's called. And Travis, and he used to be on all the time. I don't know, he had some personal stuff, but everybody is going through stuff. Like, you have to go through some really serious growth stuff to start becoming aware, to get in touch with your true self. And your true self is, just like that near-death experience. Well, I've read so many of the different ones. Like I've said before, Moody He had a bunch of books. I'm sure there's tons more. I mean, I was reading these 40 years ago. I'm sure there's a lot more now. And I said that even there's people on YouTube who are telling their near-death experiences and stuff. Go in and watch tons of them. At the back of a book, it will tell you other books that talk about, or through the book, it will have reference to other books. You know, there's so much information out there to kind of, you know, at least look into it. Even if it sounds completely hokey and crazy, at least look into, you know, stuff about reincarnation and stuff. It makes you start understanding a lot more about spiritual life and life in general and the whole purpose. I mean, all human beings from the time you're small are constantly like, what does it all mean? Why are we here? What is happening? Are we the only ones out there? You know, you have all these people asking these questions, but then the ones who are answering are only giving you one flat, you know, one book answer. Here you go. This is it. Do what it says. Do what we say. And there's just a lot of people who are just, you know, they'll do whatever they're told out of fear. But the only way you can have fear is to think this is real, to think that there could be an end, that you could cease to exist. And, you know, I've talked about it so many times. When I came out of my body, it was by accident. You know, I was asleep. And when I got up to go to the bathroom, and I went into, you know, and I noticed that everything looked weird. And I'm thinking about this as I'm going. I'm my own regular self. Nothing felt different. I completely felt 100% myself. And I could even see myself in my head walking across the thing, and the cloudiness around me. And I thought maybe there was a fire in the house or something, that there was smoke. I couldn't understand why everything was so different looking. And then when I turned around and looked at the bed and I saw me laying there, it sucked me in like a vacuum. It felt like I went through my feet and was all of a sudden in there. And then I have, you know, talked about even recently when I was doing those stretches and I came out. I didn't go all the way out, but I felt myself go out. There was suddenly no boundary in my body. There was no boundary holding me. And it was a very scary feeling. And yesterday I was talking to my mom because on Mr. Baldwin, I've talked about him. You know, he does scary stories, supernatural, just weird stories. But he's an interesting storyteller to listen to. Like, he's got a good voice, and he's just a good storyteller. Like, he gives a good amount of detail, but doesn't overdo it, but makes you understand. And there was one he was doing, and it was I don't remember all the stories. It was one of those 3 stories that are too crazy to believe or something. And one of them was so fucking scary. I couldn't even believe it. It terrified me. And this was a group of hang gliders that were together for, it was some big thing. I don't know if it was a competition or something, but they were all, a whole bunch of them from all over the world were all here for this. And then a storm came in. And so the storm was supposed to be really bad the next day or later that day or something. But so a bunch of them decided, well, let's hurry and go out before the storm. And this girl whose story it is, she was one of the back people. Like, most of the people were ahead of her. And she was right next to the Chinese guy and the German guy. Huh, that's a weird sound. I don't know what that is. Somewhere outside. I don't know if you can hear it. It's weird to sound. Okay, so anyways, so when she is going with these 3 guys, all of a sudden, and he explains how this cloud thing works. Like, there's 2 storm clouds or something, but one of them engulfed the other one. And then he explains how, like, when a storm cloud happens, it creates like a wind tunnel, kind of like a tornado or something. So it sucks you up in it. And then in the eye of the storm or whatever, it is like you are being thrown around on this cloud. There's lightning. In her case, there was giant hail. she was getting bashed by the hail. There's lightning going off, like lightning right next to you. Like, oh my God. Plus, being up there, like you just picture the tornado, Wizard of Oz, and how that's going, and you're like in it. Oh my God, how terrifying. And in a tornado, people get sucked up in them all the time, but they get thrown out. And I don't know at what point, while they're in the tornado, that they die. If it's the throw out part, I don't know. But she is in this storm, and she has all this, because it's a technical thing or whatever. She has like GPS and all these sensors and stuff that can tell like how long she is where and all this stuff. So anyways, the story goes on, and it's terrifying. And then the storm throws her out of it and above it, though. So she is at 32,000 feet, just a human, out 32,000 feet up where the airplanes are. She's covered in ice, and she's up there 45 minutes. And then it throws her back through and goes down. I think I've already told this story, because I was so amazed. Like, you could totally see this was the hand of God that saved this woman, or her angels, or her guides, however you want to see it. So she goes back through the clouds, and then she's free falling, just free falling. Once she got thrown back through, she's just free falling, going down as fast as she can. And something jolted her awake when she got tossed through. When it jolted her awake, and she had to regain her thing, and saw she was headed for the ground, going super fast. She had to get control, and she survived, and she lived, and they could do her thing on the monitor. And then she's the only human being that they've ever known that has lived through something like that. And it is just, but the thing that gets me is the same thing as with the people who are out in the water. Big empty space freaks me out. Just the same thing as what I said in the show Initiation, when he talks about the ninth dimension of where we think of as that being God, is just an empty space that you just go in. There's no judgment, there's no feeling, there's just no nothing but empty space. And in that empty space, you ask the question, who and what am I? Which causes the soul to go out and search, to go out to experience, to figure out who and what they are. Oh, Trixie. So, anyways, but I don't know what gets me about the big spaces like that. It completely gives me horrible, horrible anxiety. And, to think of being out in the sky like that, just as a person, nothing protecting you. So yeah, it freaks me out. And I do kind of find safety as a soul or whatever in having this body. I don't know why. It kind of gives me some kind of not satisfactory, but safety feeling, and we should be able to, not fear being outside of our bodies. And I don't know why, but also that empty space. There's something just about huge empty space and being alone. And when that guy had talked about that on Initiation with the ninth dimension, it gave me such anxiety just like that. Like, to be in that empty space feels like being out in the middle of the ocean, out in the middle of the sky, and just not knowing what's going to happen. Like, that is that question. Who and what am I? What does it all mean? What is the purpose? Am I about to be, like, oh my gosh, I don't know. When I was watching that near-death experience yesterday of that guy, though, and it was so peaceful. It's always peaceful. Like, people think like this transition of death is like really, really scary and horrible and all that stuff, but it's not. It's very gentle, and it's a homecoming. It's a reunion. It's very exciting, and it feels like you're home. How many people feel so like, I don't belong here. This feels weird. I don't know what I'm doing here. Why am I here? That's like the general feeling of people on the planet. But when you are dead, when people go and talk about when they die and they come back to tell about it, it's every time. It's always, I didn't want to come back. It just felt like home. It felt like love. It felt like peace. And that whole thing is like, that's our real thing. We fracture apart to come and play these parts. So we feel disconnected from each other, but that's an illusion. We aren't disconnected from each other. We are all connected with each other. And we can find that connection in life by focusing on, certain spiritual aspects of self and about life. So, that's what's going to be happening in our future. But, this transition of going through this is very difficult. And it's hard if you are considered a new ager. It's so funny when I think about that. Like, how did they come up with this? A new ager. You're not a Christian. You're not a God. I don't even know what their stupid ass labels. But I just find it kind of curious that you're called a new ager, but we're moving into the new age. And I think all of us new agers understand what's happening and are talking about it. So I think yeah, I'm a new ager. And we're moving into a new age. And, you got to focus on yourself and your own healing. And it's not going to be for everybody. There is going to be a lot of souls that are not going to go, And I was thinking about this yesterday, too. And, when they talk about the ships coming and stuff, maybe those people aren't going to come back. Maybe they're just going to go into another world and they're going to think they're still living out the same life. That's how focused they are. Like, I could see that being easy to do, put them to sleep, wake them up in a place that looks the same, and give them the memories that these other people died and they're just, there to survive. But that is what those souls need to do to grow, because, there's a lot of different, right now on the planet, there's a lot of different age souls. Like, there's souls that have been around for a long, long time, which I believe I am. I have memories of long, I've talked about it before, my attachment to Atlantis and Egypt and the pyramids as a small child. And, there's a lot of us who were going through experiences a long time ago, and that we're here trying to pass on certain information. And then there's also, though, you have new souls that are just like getting started. Oh, and I heard somebody explaining about the soul of Dolores Cannon, I think. When there's like all of these soul, all this energy, and it's going through these different experiences, it has to keep bringing in new to continue the balance. Like, there has to constantly be universal balance. Right now on this planet, it's very out of balance. Like, the pendulum has swung so far over this way. How much further can they pull it up before it swings back? And when it swings back, it's going to be with such high veracity, it's going to be, and that's the boomerang, that's the switch back. That's when the energy has gone so far one way, it has to go back, and it's going to come back with great force. And that is what I talk about, like, this awakening that's going to happen for people, because we are headed into the event, which is a cosmic thing, which is a planetary system that is going to actually physically change for the new age. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of souls here for all different reasons. I personally have to just focus on what my mission is. And my mission is to just, it's about healing. It's about helping people heal and looking inside and focusing on themselves, and to realize that you're an illusion, to help with the conscious awareness. So I know what my purpose is. It's been in me since I was young. I couldn't understand, but everything fell together. Like I've talked about before, everything started coming together for me. And my understanding, the puzzle pieces started going together in 2020. That was, magical year for me. And I didn't really, it definitely is just one of the things that is harder for me to wrap my head around. That, I know that I must be here to work on my patience and my ego, you know, stuff like that, because it is hard to imagine that I don't mean it in a rude way when I say, like, it's really hard for me to wrap my head around that people in this day and age believe in this fairy tale, this little story, but I'm adult people. I'm my own mom. Like, I can't talk to her about the stuff I see. It has to be from that perspective. It has to be through the Bible. Same with my other friend who has awareness of what's happening in the world, but it's all biblical, So I don't really have people who understand things the way I understand them. But then I know, like, what I'm doing right here is going to help me find more people like me, because we do have a mission. We do have, and it isn't like it's just living our truth. It's being honest. It's being truthful. It's living our true, being true to ourselves, speaking our truth, and giving new perspective for people. So anyways, I look forward to meeting some of like-minded people, because it does feel, sometimes you can feel so alone when you think differently. I've spent my whole life like that, being an outcast and thinking differently and being told I'm crazy and stuff. So anyways, I know there's a bunch of you out there who are just like me, so we will find each other. And, we are moving into a new age, and it is exciting. So anyways, have a great day today, and just, listen to your internal guidance, quiet your mind and focus on yourself. Yourself will tell you where you're supposed to be at all times. So have a great day.